Hi there, let's check out Anytype setup and tips. First, let's go to the Anytype website, anytype.io, and in the top right corner, select Get the App. Now here you have a choice of what you want to download, and right now I'm showing you version 0.37.3 beta, and I'm using a Mac today. Now you have three network choices. The first one is the default Anytype, which means it's an encrypted sync and it requires access to the internet. The second one is local, which saves on your device only, doesn't require internet. And the third one is called self-hosted, which saves on a user's private servers. Today I'm showing you just the local version so that you know you can use it in offline mode. It's not connected to the internet at all. Here on the login page, on the top right corner, there's a gear icon. Click that and you'll see this preferences menu that has a choice of interface language as well as those three network types that I talked about: Anytype, local only, and self-hosted. I'm using local only and click save. Now you can select create new account and it will take you to a page where you can enter your username. Now you can change this later after you're in the app, so it doesn't really matter what you select. Click next, and here is your recovery phrase. This is your password and it is very long. So make sure that you save it because there is no password reset. And I will show you an easier way to use a 6-digit PIN code later so you don't have to memorize that. Okay, now back into the user interface. Here I'm going to select the toolbar at the bottom, click on your name, and it will show another gear icon. The menu that pops up is your account settings, and here under data management you can choose to see whether you're saving locally or offloading to the Anytype servers. Here is your recovery phrase again if you need to get it, as well as a shortcut QR code if you want to log in with your Android or iOS device. And here is the PIN code that I was talking about, so select Turn PIN Code On. This is a 6-digit code and you'll have to enter it twice, and it's basically just a lock screen for the app so that you don't have to enter that super long recovery phrase. Right here you can choose how long it takes to time out, and the lowest is 1 minute. And then it looks like this once it's locked, so just enter the PIN code here and you can reopen the app. Okay, just a few things about using the PIN code. You can use the PIN after you close out of the Anytype app, but you need to use the recovery phrase if you log out of the app. And at this time, there's no PIN on the mobile apps, only on the desktop apps. Under appearance, here's where you can change from light mode, dark mode, or follow whatever your system settings are. And under preferences, we have language preferences again. Here is some spell check as well as the interface language that we saw earlier. Okay, so that's pretty much it for your account settings. Now we're going to take a look at this Get Started page, which is just a quick overview of how to use Anytype. Now what's important here on this page is by default your new object type is Note. So if I click down here on the toolbar to create new object, you can see here it's called a note. And the reason I don't really like using notes is because whatever you type as your content becomes the title of your note, and it's not editable unless you want to change the content. So if we click over here to notes, you'll see that it has whatever I wrote in the note as the title. I actually prefer pages as my default object, so to change that we're going to go up to the space, click in the top left. And this is your space settings. These are different from your account settings. And right here, it shows the default object type. So I'm going to change this one to page. And then let's take a look at when we create a new object from the toolbar at the bottom. Click that plus sign, and now you can see it says page, and then there is an actual title for your object. And if you type in here, it's completely separate from the content that you're typing within the page. Okay, so you can see content is here and the title is separate. Okay, so now that you've made an object, you need to be able to find it. So what I recommend is for each type of object, you create a set. Now I'm going to just call this one pages, and the object type is set to page. So now you can see everything so far that's here in this Anytype that is a page. I just added a relation called object type so that you can see these are all pages. I'll show you a different way of finding your information, which is the graph view. If you click here, right now it doesn't look like a whole lot. Now I found the content I was looking for, things I changed in Anytype. Here is where you can link to other objects. So I linked to the original note that I made. And if we look in the graph view, you can now see there's a little line in between the two objects. You can see on the note, the page that I linked to actually shows up within the content, but on the page, it shows up here underneath the title where it says one link to. Now, Anytype is still in beta, so this may still be changing. All right, I'm going to delete this link so that they are separated again. And let's go back to the graph view. Okay, everything's separated. And I'm going to show you another way that you can organize your content, which is to use collections. Now, collections are basically folders. They can contain different types of objects. So I'm just going to call this one Anytype app. And eventually I want to add a page and a note to this collection or folder. So in order to do that, I can either go to the graph view or I can go to a set to find what I'm looking for. I'm going to the note, select the note, click in the top right corner on the three dots, select add link to object. So instead of connecting it to a page, I'm going to connect it to a collection. And you'll see that when I click on collections down here, it is now contains the note that I linked. You can do the same thing with the page. Just go up, open the page, go to the top right corner, link to an object, and select your collection. And now let's take a look at the graph view. You can see that those two things, the note and the page, are connected because they're both within that Anytype app collection.